I was just thinking how much actual time that is.
I mean, think about it. It's, 90 minutes a show, 400 times 90 minutes. It's 36,000 minutes.
Well, I was thinking on the way in, so that's just in front of these microphones and cameras and in front of you two gorgeous faces. But that's not all the work that we all do.
Oh, yeah, that's just on here.
Yeah, I mean, and I think conservatively, I mean, it's just collectively
600 hours.
Oh my God!
Of on-air time.
Yeah, and I would think at least double, if not 3 times, that with the total prep. It's just I'm just flabbergasted. I don't. For me to be speechless.
That says something.
That's an amazing thing.
I have a feeling you're going to say that.
Yeah, we spend way too much.
400 hours. Remember we were talking about Homer Simpson before the show started, and you're like, that guy. I'm like, oh, Simpsons.
Yeah, I didn't even.
That scared me when I finished that particular one. Did I was like, good Lord.
I didn't even have to. I was just thinking it.
On The Simpsons.
Yeah. We need to take a break, I think, or something.
Give the show a like and a share anywhere you guys are watching. We're going to have a lot of fun today. It's the 400th episode of Real Talk. If you have enjoyed spending Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays with Keith and I and with Judah, give that show, hammer the like button wherever you're watching.
And our cast of characters, right? I was thinking about that this morning. I mean, how many?
It's a motley crew.
Motley crew, yeah. Our cast of characters.
We'll highlight the cast of characters today as well. Right. Judah Wickower, things are looking good over here on my end. We're ready to rock and roll when you are.
Quiet on the set.
Cast of characters. Guys, good Friday morning. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to the 400th episode of Real Talk with Keith Smith. Thank you kindly for joining us. The second day in December, and a milestone to celebrate. We truly have enjoyed connecting with you guys through the I Love Seville Network. We're presented by Yes Realty Partners, a business Keith and Yona created from scratch that embodies what they stand for: integrity, communication, doing things the right way, and making relationships what matter. Judah Wickower is our director. We'll go to the studio camera and we'll welcome Keith Smith to the show on a glorious Friday morning here in Charlottesville in Central Virginia. Keith, 400 episodes.
400, and Smith's already having a moment. I can't figure out how to connect into the...
He's got a new laptop.
I got a new laptop, and I can't figure out how to log into... it's a Jerry Miller building, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's... I won't say the password.
That's good. We appreciate that. Thank you kindly.
Yeah. So I might have to hand this off to God over there and get him to go ahead and log me in, because I've done it 3 times and I can't do that. So I'll let you chat for a minute while I hand this over to my friend
Bill McChesney. Hello and welcome to the program. The mayor of McIntyre. Wow, we almost need a new laptop right there.
Mrs. Smith would not have been happy with that.
Congratulations on your 400th show.
Thank you,
he
Bill.
says.
Thank you, Bill. It's just amazing. I was, thank you to Bill. Thank you to all the folks that chime in. I get asked all the time, why do I do this? I said, well, I get to sit across from you. And they go, yeah, give me another reason. But it really makes me better what I do every day. And folks like Bill and Kevin and all the folks that chime in makes me smarter. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Vanessa Parkhill, the queen of Earlysville, says, Keith, congratulations on 400 shows.
Well, I have to congratulate you because, and it's funny how things like this work. It's timing, right? Timing is everything. You've presented this idea to me. I just happened to be right at the same time, coming hot off of a convention out in or seminar out in Seattle, San Diego, where they said, "Look, and you need to do something like this." And I was in. I was all in, and I actually went and made the mistake of doing what you told me never to do, which was watch old shows. And I got to tell you, I really sucked in the beginning. I was
From
bad.
episode 1 to now, you are night and day. And I will say this, I don't think you ever sucked. I think in episode 1, viewers and listeners that watched the first episode of Real Talk with Keith Smith, and remember, then it didn't have really a name.
It didn't have a name.
It didn't have a brand.
So
it
if you
didn't have
count
a website.
if you count the ones where I came on the I Love Charlottesville,
Right.
we're actually beyond
Beyond 400.
beyond 400.
Yeah, Keith and Yona came on the I Love Seville show a couple of times before we brainstormed this idea of Real Talk with Keith Smith. And immediately in those 2 times that you were on the I Love Seville show, I was blown away by your authenticity.
Oh, stop it.
I was blown away by how genuine you are, how much love you had for Yona, and I was also blown away by how much of a character you were. You're very approachable and likable, and
stop
you're
it.
entertaining.
Stop it.
I truly mean that.
Stop. Keep on coming. No,
I
stop
truly,
it.
I'll follow you around all weekend long. 400
No,
episodes.
I believe you're a little busy. I would not ask that over the
am
over the
very
weekend.
busy. I am very busy.
Over the weekend, and congratulations and God bless to you and your family, man.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so-
it's been a whirlwind.
Oh, I remember those days, and at some point you'll get to my point where you're trying to decide what to do for your 4-year-old grandson's birthday, and it becomes a whole different world. I've said this before. When you 4 years ago, if you would have said, being a grandparent and a grandfather is the coolest thing in the world, I was like, yeah, whatever. It is the coolest thing in the world.
I've heard that.
It is the coolest.
I have my in-laws in our house right now, and I think they would absolutely agree with you.
But you got a long way to go, brother.
We certainly do.
A long way to go.
We're in the, our youngest just got out of the batter's box, or just got out of the on-deck circle, and now is crawling, or actually he's being carried to the batter's box.
So Trey's 4 now, right?
Our oldest is almost 5,
Oh, really?
and our youngest is approximately, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 4.5
We
days
haven't
old.
quite made it to a week yet.
4.5 days old, yeah. I had to count the days. Normally I can rattle off the numbers real quick, but something about the sleep thing over there.
Oh, God, how's that going?
It's going well. It's going well. It's all relative. And in the first week, the adrenaline is going, and you're
Sure.
so in love, and you know how it is.
Well, I saw the love and the smile on both of your guys' faces. So nothing but the best of luck and the best of everything, the best of the best, which I know you'll get. So
What I'd love to do is I'd love to do the flip book of 400 episodes for the viewers and listeners. Let's take us back. Take the DeLorean, the flux capacitor, Doc Brown. You're going back 400 episodes. So what year was that when we first started this conversation of Real Talk?
19. Well, really 18.
It was 2018 at the end
At the
of
very
18.
end. At the very end of 2000.
So we're at the tail end of 2018. A different housing market for sure.
Actually, I take that back. It was in the middle. It was in the middle of 2018 because the convention I went to was like August.
Okay.
So it had to have been in the middle of. Jerry, this is a little unfair to ask me. I have a hard time remembering what cereal I had.
I was just going to say that. I had a hard time remembering what I had for breakfast.
I cannot remember. Well, today, I had a muffin.
You had a muffin.
I had a muffin.
I had honey bunches of oats with banana slices.
A muffin. A muffin is just cake called something else. That's all
Yeah,
it is.
a
It's just
muffin.
cake. It's a muffin.
You had a muffin.
It was a pumpkin muffin, so does that count?
Pumpkin muffin counts.
Counts okay.
So 2018.
Which I had a whole debate, by the way, where I bought it from
Oh,
this
what was
morning.
the debate?
The debate was it was a fall
because
muffin.
you're saying it's winter now.
Well, technically it's not.
Is it not winter yet?
At 20-something degrees, it's freaking winter.
It's winter to me,
It's
right?
winter. But I think it's December 21st or something like that is when the formal winter goes. So I was like, that's a little bit of misleading. And they said, shut up, Smith, and buy the muffin.
He gets that from time to time.
I get that regularly, actually.
So we're at 2018 in the middle of the year. You're at a different brokerage.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're looking for an opportunity to stand out
Yep.
and to convey the significant experience you have. I'm not calling you old. The significant experience you had.
So
to
I
viewers and
got to
listeners.
stop you right there. So part of me being what's that word I'm going to use?
Self-deprecating?
Yeah, that word.
Okay.
We'll talk about the Keith words and the language that I create on it.
Neil Williamson says, bring back the sock camera.
Wow.
Oh, that's so good that Neil Williamson remember that.
Nope,
Neil,
nothing.
I genuinely really enjoy you. I think you're just a great dude, Neil. I genuinely really do.
Well-
And the first few, what would you say, maybe 5 episodes?
We had a sock camera.
We had a sock camera.
Because
Because Keith, if you know Keith, you know that style and fashion and attire are important to Keith. Is that fair?
It's funny you should.
You like to dress up.
It's funny you should say that. I walked into the office the other day with a baseball cap on, a T-shirt, and a pair of jeans, and Emily went, "What the hell are you doing?"
She said, where's Keith?
She goes, I can't believe you put a baseball hat, and which kind of brings up.
And you know why? Because the man is very vain about his hair. Now, to his credit, he's got great hair.
No, I got to talk about the hair. This is a thing. I was a bit shocked this morning because I woke up at 0:30.
The hair's on point today, by the way.
Well, thank you.
You put some extra time into it because it was the 400th episode.
No, I put some extra time into it because I had this epiphany this morning. So I woke up at 0:30 because, you can't sleep because you have a little person. I can't sleep because I'm of a certain age, right? And you get up 3 or 4 times a night. It's a thing. This is what happens. But I watched some of the early shows in 2019, and my hairline was lower than it is now. I've got this huge spot right here.
Oh, come on.
But I'm just telling you, 4 years ago, that spot wasn't there.
You look great,
It's
man.
the lights, right?
It's the lights. It's the light. It's the camera angle. You just got to fix the camera angle over there.
Yeah. And I've decided this is my better spot.
I think this is where Keith says it's because Jerry made me switch sides
You
of this
did.
table.
It's all your fault.
I knew he was going to say that.
You totally pulled this is my network card.
I need the line, the internet line. It's over here.
Whatever.
It's close to me.
Whatever.
Nicholas
You
Irby
just-
says congratulations on 400.
Thank you. Couldn't do it without Nick. Couldn't do it without Neil. Couldn't do it without anybody in there. I'll just keep on saying, this really makes me better at what I do.
The ADD is kicking in over here. We were on the sock camera. We were on clothing and attire. The first 5 episodes, we literally on Real Talk.
Today Friday.
Okay. We on the first 5 episodes of this show, we literally were showing Keith's socks on the show.
Yeah, we had like a camera on the.
We had a camera on a tripod
on the floor.
on a Joby tripod on the floor,
Yeah.
showing Keith's socks.
But you know what? We've adapted. I was thinking again. I'll probably say a couple of times because I was up at 3:30 this morning, going, "What am I going to talk about today?" And we're starting to research some stuff that we've done, and I surely want to do a quick run through, or not a quick run through, but a run through of all our sponsors. Because without those, I sure as heck wouldn't be sitting here. We surely wouldn't be doing what we've been doing for 400 episodes. But it's. I was just thinking about this, as you just said earlier, right? We started this, the market was a little bit different.
It's a completely different market.
But what we had to speak to and how we had to help and guide people, whoever may be watching or listening, was very different back then, right? Then this thing happened called COVID. Talk about how we pivoted for that, right?
Oh my goodness.
I remember we used to wear masks, and I put mustache on the outside of the mask, and how we added an extra show.
Tuesday to make it through COVID.
Make it through COVID to help people, and now we're at this point. Okay, next year is going to be different. And how I'm just looking at it right now, just to kick in. Last 7 days, 39 homes came on the market. That's half of what it was this same week last year. But there are actually more pendings than that, just to kind of get a little bit of real estate. 39 came on, 53 went. So we're actually getting more going into. Pardon me, pending. There you go. There's the muffin. Pending and versus active. But man, I just. Jerry, I can't tell you how humbled I am. For me to not be able to babble about something for an hour, I don't really know what to say. It's just, I really don't know. I mean, it's just amazing to me that I get the right, I get the ability, I have the
honor.
The honor, thank you. The honor to sit here and do this. And I also have learned in the beginning, it was like, hey, the seminar I was in, and this where this whole just came together. The seminar I was in, they were, if you can remember back in 2018, blogging was a thing, right?
Yeah.
And this is what this particular individual was talking about. You need to blog and you need to be I know what you're going to
create content.
Right?
Sling content, Neil Williamson.
Yeah. But anybody who's listening to my voice or looking at my receding hairline here, and ever got an email or text from me, you think I speak weird? Try to get something, well, because you've received it.
I got one this morning.
Yeah. Writing is not my thing, right? And so it's like, oh man, I'm never going to be able to do this. This isn't going to work. I can't. This is. In order for me to construct a reasonable written email, takes a half a day for me. That's why I don't check my email so much. Then you walked in and said, "How about this?" And I went, "Oh, this I can do." And then the next thing you know, it's 400. It goes that fast. It's crazy. Much like your 2 children. Before you know it, you will be your grandfather.
400 episodes. Well, I mean, our oldest, in a lot of ways, has taken the trajectory of Real Talk with Keith Smith.
Well, thank you for saying.
Same timeline.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, same timeline, 2018 to now, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it as well. I say this often to my better half and those that sit across the table over there. My desk is right offset. They ask about real estate, and I've had a crash course. An MBA and learning real estate from a 35-year professional and the experts you bring on the show.
Yeah.
I mean, 400 shows, each show is roughly 90 minutes. That's 36,000 minutes.
Which, oh, by the way, thank you. They were only supposed to be 45, but I don't think we've ever did a 45-minute show ever.
That's 600 hours.
Yeah.
I've spent 600 hours sitting at this table on this set across from this man and the experts he brings on the show.
I used to be on that side, by the way.
600 hours learning about a business, real estate, in a field, in a space that I was already very passionate about as an investor, and he's taken my acumen to another level.
Well, thank you.
I sincerely mean that, dude.
Yeah. The Catholic in me will come out, and I thank you. But we do much more than that, though, right? We always do a little bit more than just real estate. We try to weave it in and out, but it's really has taken on a different thing. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I liked the most, and I guess I was trying to say it earlier, this has been taking these different trajectories, right? But right now, this case study thing we've been doing, I think that excites me so much, so that we can help people that are on the feed that says, hey, what about this, what about that? And, we can basically do what we would do on a one-to-one conversation, do it in a much larger format on that end of it. But I wanted to ask you, so 600 hours, 400 shows, what did you learn through this process?
Well, I mean, I really want to emphasize this to the viewers and listeners. I have learned, and it was a passion, so I wanted to learn as much as possible. I came into Real Talk as a very small landlord. And this man and the experts he brings, I sincerely mean this, has taken the base that I had to another level. He's also taught me a considerable amount of jurisdictional dynamics within local governments. I mean, he spent 35 years working alongside elected officials behind the scenes at levels that many of the viewers and listeners don't even realize. This guy is working behind the scenes texting, calling, in-person conversations, presentations at documented meetings.
Yeah.
And even most importantly, I've learned from this guy of how to carry yourself and represent yourself and your family in many different capacities. Are we perfect every day? No. Do we make mistakes all the time? Absolutely.
So I'm going to give a shout out to Michael Guthrie, because I kind of took what he said a bunch of years ago to me and I tweaked it around a little bit. So 5:30 in the morning, it shows up, and I've said this before on the show, it shows up on my phone, is be professional, be caring, and be trustworthy. And, I'm a simple guy, I just maybe dress the part, but I'm really a simple guy, But that is three things I try to do every day, and I'll be honest with I probably fail at it way more than I succeed at.
We all do,
but at least I try, and I learned this a long time ago as a young man when I was in the Marine Corps. If you make a mistake, just raise your hand up and say that private made a mistake, Lance Corporal made a mistake, sorry sir, won't happen again. You learn from it and you move on. I also learned on the show here, and this came from you very early on, the viewers and listeners are super smart.
I mean, in today's digital era, when we have literally computers in our hands, like we can't pull. Look, so my background, as you know, the viewers and listeners, is broadcasting, is media. Out of UVA, Daily Progress, NBC 29, Monticello Media, ESPN Radio.
Yeah.
And in early 2002 is when I first started doing reporting for the Daily Progress and broadcasting for Monticello Media, like on air. Mm-hmm. And in early 2002, when it was newspaper writing and a talk show on AM radio.
Yeah.
AM radio.
Does they still have that?
1400 WKAV. No comment on that. Okay. 1400 WKAV. I used to go in with the mindset that what we say is the spoken word and the truth. And then I realized very quickly that the folks that were absorbing the content you were creating had not only their opinions on it, but had a knowledge base that could be even more robust than yours.
So the viewers and listeners may know this, but 2022 I received an award for Reese Media as a trendsetter, and it was mainly because of the show, right? And so I was up in D.C. With all these CEOs and yada, 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 and just doing what I do and having conversations and all that stuff. And they were asking about it. And I had another moment there because a lot of these folks, they do podcasts. I didn't realize until that, and this was October of this year. So this was like, we've been doing the show for like 3 years. This goes to a testament of how slow I can be sometimes, right? I didn't realize most podcasts are edited. I didn't know that.
Well, and
I did not know
I'll
that.
add some context to this. The podcasts that viewers and listeners are hearing on, say, iTunes or Spotify, the Fountain, wherever they get their podcasts, not only are those podcasts edited, but they're not live.
Well, that's the one I was.
They're not in real time.
Yeah.
They're produced massively
Yeah.
once the content is created. And even more important to highlight, there's no visual or video component. With this idea that we've created, this is replacing television.
Well,
it is live video streaming.
Yeah.
There's one thing to have a podcast where you're listening to somebody in an earbud or in your car. It's another thing to be able to see their emotions and their body language in real time.
Sure. But I think a lot of folks that watch or listen actually listen to this afterwards, because that's the other thing I learned here. Is I'm sitting in the line at Cava, and I have a professor at Darden School turn around and say, hey, I know you. Where do I know you from? And you have a conversation about it, and they go ahead and, they listen to it, and they would say, well, that was a great show you had on Friday, and I have to ask them what was the topic, and it was a topic from 3 months ago, right? That kind of thing. But it was very, and I was like,
They recognized you.
correct. And my first response always is, I don't owe you any money.
Yeah.
I don't care what you're talking about.
Vanessa Parkle says, I love your live format. Grayson, who's watching the show, says, the live format is what makes the show great.
Yeah.
We're also seeing this from James on the feed. The format and how you guys
my
do
brother-in-law,
it
James?
makes it, no, not your brother-in-law, James. The format and how you guys do it is what gets us watching.
Yeah.
It's not like a traditional podcast that's produced.
Yeah, yeah. It's and again, to my point that we started it, and it was maybe a little bit more not orchestrated, but kind of produced, right? Not that it was produced, but we had a set thing. This point now, this whole point that we've gotten to, and it's your guys' network and all this stuff, but how this became, and I can't remember what show it was. I think it was Wednesday when I came in late, and we had two, Scott was here and it was Jake, right?
Yeah.
Jake was here, and I'm watching your fingers, and I know how the show is going by your body language and your fingers, and you're on your phone, you're on your Apple Watch, you're on all this stuff, and this thing is generated into a point where it's becoming a live, multiple feed or multiple. Come on, help me out. What is all this called?
It's dynamic. It's
Conversation simultaneously happening.
I mean, this show
Social
literally,
media.
the show literally, and we'll get to your comments, guys. We'll get to your comments here. The show literally is airing right now on 15 Facebook pages at the same time. It's airing on YouTube. It's airing on LinkedIn, 15 Twitter accounts, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts. We're on Instagram. We're on the Fountain app. It's on literally every social media. And what we try to do is we try to take your comments and relay them live on air, which allows you, the viewer and listener, to shape our content. And I want to highlight how
This is becoming a little bit of, to interrupt you, this becomes a little of a problem. The success of this whole live, answer questions quickly, be open and honest.
It is.
It's hard to get guests to come in.
Oh, unless you get practice like we're doing, the guests come into a firing range. Because they'll have 3 or 4 talking points they want to hit, and those talking points may not even come up on the show. Right?
Right? I used to do this. I used to do bullet points. It's like, why? Let's the feed tell us, or as I refer to it, dealer's choice. Let the feed tell us to go ahead and do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sense of vulnerability coming on this show, knowing that you don't know what is coming your way.
And that becomes a struggle, because when I sit down and talk to get guests to come in, they kind of want to know what's
They want a script.
They kind of want to know what's going to happen, and then that's why Neil is so good, and Ned, and all these folks are so good that join us on a regular basis, because.
Well, those guys are so. Here's the thing.
And I'm not trying to disparage any. It's just.
Oh, you're not.
But it's just popped in my head that this is a difficult thing to do.
Dude, you have to have one of the.
I know that I had to do it on Monday by myself with Quentin Beckham.
Yeah. One of the things that we have in common is we have insatiable appetites for reading, and we're extremely passionate about the community.
Small words, no big words.
We love to read and learn about the community. And because that, we have the base to be able to adapt to people. But even in those scenarios, we still get things wrong.
Well, as my grandmother, who was off the boat from Ireland, used to tell me when I was a young boy, Keithy, me boy, when they vaccinated you, used a phonograph needle instead of a hypodermic needle. Then she would say, shut, small ears, in the middle, up. I won't use the word that she actually used.
Michael Plecker says he's ready to get in front of the firing range. One of the Shenandoah Valley's
so actually I had a great conversation with Michael, and one of the and I'm going to go back to Michael, and my ADD is going to kick in, and I'm going to change here a little bit. One of the things that I actually wake up thinking about the show in the middle of the night is how can we keep on making it fresh? How can we keep on, at 400 shows and 600 hours, some shows are like freaking rock star stuff. Some shows are not so much.
Absolutely.
But so the beginning of next year, we've gotten away a little bit from these round tables of real estate. So I've asked actually Michael yesterday. I said, Michael, you're the expert in Pantops in that area. I'd like you to come
Mayor
in.
of Pantops.
I'd like you to come in once a month, or once every 2 months, or whatever the schedule, works out, to kind of, instead of me talking about Pantops, we bring in that expert. So we're going to go pivot back to that, because I really think the beginning of next year, we're going to need to bring in more experts.
I would love to do that.
So that's
Michael Buchensky, Coach B. Coach B.
B.
Coach B. Should we get Judah doing Coach B?
Hey, Judah.
We're going to go to the
Come on,
three-shot.
God, do it.
Three-shot.
Three-shot with Coach B. He's watching the program. He says he's actually great at adapting on the fly. Coach B. You ready for that?
Well, he's a coach, so he should be able to do it.
Absolutely.
I'd be very disappointed
That's
if he
what his
wasn't.
that's what coaching is.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
It's responding to things on the fly. Judah, your turn.
Coach B.
Coach B.
Look at that, Judah. So, so it's just, I'll repeat, it's flattering, it's honoring. But I really, and our body language is at such that we kind of know, and we our brains are in sync. But when people throw these case studies, or
We have a case study already.
my level of excitement just goes through the roof.
This question's come in.
Because I'm, look, you got to call it what it is, right? And sometimes people may not like what you have to say, but it is what, reality is.
I mean, this comes up a lot. I got a scratch in my throat over here.
Good.
I'm going to throw this to Keith.
You can throw it to me, so I need to talk. Is that what we're saying?
No. I'm good here. We can go back to me here. So,
Because I can talk about Ally Property Management.
folks talk about this. What's it like doing a show like this? And we do a lot of them. And I
Not
said,
just this one, right? I mean, you do
A lot.
You do like thousands, right?
thousands of shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally, if you look at it, it's thousands of shows.
So Real Talk is just really a small, minute part.
No, Real Talk is a critical part.
No. I'm talking in count.
Yeah.
Right. So 400 versus many thousands.
I mean, I think the last time I counted, we were at a little over 2,500. And
Yeah.
that was months ago.
So, yeah. So you're probably over 3,000, I would imagine.
I would imagine we're over 3,000 shows.
So 400 versus 3,000 is a smaller number. Look at that. I did that all on my own.
Very nicely done, Keith. Very nicely
Look at
done.
that, Coach B. I can add.
Well, here's where I'm going. It's like we get on these shows and in front of a lot of people. I mean, we highlighted the amount of social accounts this goes on. And we give our opinions
Yeah.
and give takes and analyses.
Yeah, sure.
And when you give an
That
opinion...
doesn't mean we're always right either.
No, it doesn't. But people listen and watch
Sure.
because we have a take on something, right? And when you have an opinion and a take on something, not everyone's going to agree with you.
So the beginning of this, I've always been comfortable public speaking and stuff
You're
like
great
that.
at it.
Stuff like that. But in the beginning, you're sitting and looking at, I don't know, how many cameras you got here? 12?
Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're not using that one. We have 6, 3, no, 7. Seven.
That's a sock cam. It's in retirement.
Well,
It's in
utilizing,
retirement.
that is the sock camera over there. We have 7 cameras.
Yeah, so you're looking at 7 cameras, 4 microphones, whatever it is. That could be intimidating, right?
Yeah.
So in the beginning, that was my intimidation. Okay, let me get through this. Let me get into comfortable. Now it is to make sure that what comes out of my mouth is fun and engaging, right? But as accurate as possible.
Folks are saying...
And I create new words, by the
You
way.
still have the bet going, and your mustache is going to be shaved on set.
So
by
is Neil-
Sir
is Neil's-
Neil is watching.
Yeah.
Neil Williamson is going to be shaving your mustache on set.
Did Neil, did you happen to watch the Planning District Commission meeting last night? Because my mustache came up under the roundtable conversation.
Oh, he said, don't forget the important prop bet. So funny. On one Facebook page, Bill McChesney is talking about the bet of shaving the mustache, and at the same time on another Facebook page with a smiley face emoji, the king of content, the president of the Free Enterprise Forum himself, says, don't forget about the bet.
You know,
Your mustache came up in the Planning Commission meeting?
yeah, we were just joking around. It was the round table. It was over with. I took an opportunity to ask Michael Payne and one. We have a new planning district commissioner. A planning commissioner, and I've forgotten the young person's name on it. I was asking for an update. When we do the roundtables, that's what happened. We start to cross-talk jurisdictions and so forth and so on. And I was just asking for an update on it. And Jesse Rutherford was sitting next to me on the right. And of course, Jesse being Jesse, says, "Yeah,
What County Board of Supervisors.
What about your mustache?" And then it went down this whole rabbit hole of mustache and this stuff. And I was trying to end the meeting because somebody wanted to go out for a cocktail afterwards, and it wasn't me. I went home to work, but a bunch of guys wanted to go out for a cocktail.
So your mustache is coming off.
Yeah. It's
Neil is shaving it on set.
No, I've never.
You did say
no,
that.
I've never, ever agreed to Neil shaving my mustache.
So-
no, though I think he really wants to be honest.
Neil will be here when your
Yeah.
mustache is shaved, though.
Absolutely.
So Neil is not shaving
I
your mustache?
believe-
We got to tell him what the prop bet is.
Go ahead.
The prop bet was the implementation of, the final approval
Of the rezoning.
of the upzoning. You hate the word
I
upzoning.
freaking hate that
He
word.
hates the word upzoning. Neil has highlighted multiple
Let's
times
call
that
it-
it's actually upzoning, though.
I know that, but that doesn't make it.
The approval-
Just because he's Neil Williamson doesn't mean he's always right.
The approval from council on
Every once in a
upzoning
while, I like to get one right, Neil.
in
okay?
Charlottesville City. You're saying it will not happen.
I think it was June 19th. We actually signed the document. I don't know where it is.
Sign a document.
I
No,
believe-
Neil has it.
I know, guarantee.
Yeah,
Yes,
Neil has it.
guarantee. Matter of fact, I actually I sent everybody. It was a WeHow, right? Is that when you can search how to do something? Wikipedia, right? I don't know, but there's a thing I found on it. I'm making. I'm telling you, it's there.
Wikipedia.
No, but there's like WeHow, right?
Do you have any idea what he's talking about right now?
WikiHow?
WikiHow. That's
Oh,
it.
WikiHow.
That was
Okay,
close.
WikiHow.
It had a W in it, didn't it?
Yeah.
There you go. I was close.
Johnny Ornella says, happy 400.
Thank you, Johnny.
And it's been an absolute blast.
Johnny,
and he hopes many, many more to come.
I love you and his brother Steven and his whole family to death. They're just awesome human beings. When I grow up, I want to be like those folks. They're amazing people.
El Mariachi
El Mariachi.
and Guadalajara,
Mm-hmm.
the king of Mexican cuisine, Johnny Ornelas. So you were WikiHowing something.
Is that the right term?
I made it into a verb.
Oh.
You were WikiHowing something, and what came up?
Oh, I texted it as how to actually shave a mustache off. I texted like the pictures of it. There's a process, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. This is very important. We'll have to share that to the viewers and all that. Then
Coach-
I text every.
Coach B says we should open up a charitable bid or auction for who can shave your mustache online with the donations going to a charity of choice. That's not a bad idea, Coach B.
Coach B, you getting me into trouble.
Coach B, that's a great idea.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to let anybody next to my mustache.
And can we also highlight the fact that we did how long was the telethon?
I was about to ask you of the 400 shows.
How many hours of straight on air were we?
So 12.
It was 12 hours
12 hours.
live, straight.
12 hours, yeah. I did it.
How did you persuade me to do that?
I do have certain skills.
12 hours straight doing a telethon to raise money for
At the time, it was the Thomas Jefferson
Community Land Trust.
Now it's the Piedmont Community Land Trust. But to raise
Yeah.
money and
substantial amount of
yeah, the number I forgotten, but it was substantial. That was pretty cool. But I learned never to ask you that again. So that was brutal, man.
12 hours straight
But
is tough.
that 600 hours doesn't include that.
No, it
12
does
hours.
not include that.
Does not include that 12
Yeah.
hours, and that was weeks of prep.
Oh,
Weeks of prep. Yeah, that was That was brutal.
Weeks of prep.
It was
Some
like,
significant. Judah had a lot on his plate that day.
that reminded me of my first marathon I ran, right? Yeah, I can do this, until I hit mile 20. And basically, about at hour 8 or 10, you lost me. I was like, I hit the wall.
I don't think I peed the entire time.
Well, thank you for sharing. But
I literally, the entire telethon, I did not get up out of that chair.
But nobody's ever done that before either.
What's that?
What we did.
No one. I would ask this question online. I will ask the viewers and listeners this question. Who has utilized every social media network at the exact same time to live stream 12 straight hours of live, unscripted, unpredictable content to raise tens of thousands of dollars for a local nonprofit?
So
I don't think that's ever been done.
It was somewhat scripted because we went to events for.
But there was no prompter.
There was no.
There's this is what you're going to say.
Yeah. This was all in between the two ears.
Yeah, when you watch a telethon like
So if you were-
the Jerry Lewis what is it? Is it
The Jerry Lewis telethon.
They're reading from a screen.
Yeah. Well, I don't know much about Jerry Lewis, but I would imagine he probably did a lot of his own thing, improvising. So if I was had to talk you into doing another one, would you do it, and why would you do it? For
Another
what?
telethon?
Yeah. Would you do another one?
12 hours.
How about them Mets? Huh?
Oh my gosh, 12 hours.
Yeah, but what did we learn? Maybe I don't know. What
did we learn?
Yeah, not to do another one.
I didn't pee for 12 straight hours.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, I had a diaper on. I don't know about you, but that was good.
Oh man, I'm not going to give you that answer on the
I
talk show right now.
Who did I do that to? I did that to David Blunt last night because one of the David Blunt is the liaison from the Planning District Commission to the legislature, right?
Okay.
So he's our government liaison guy, and Neil will chime in. And there was an article that I shared with you that it looks like the state legislature is going to try to tackle, however it can, housing affordability, affordable housing, right? So I knew the answer to the question. So I asked him in a public setting, well, does he see the state kind of moving towards the model of the Western states, right? Where if you meet certain criteria, it's automatically approved as far as rezoning goes, right? This plays off of this conversation we constantly have actually, turning red tape into green tape. So I'm happy to report, at least at the state level.
He says he's the locality and the Thomas Jefferson Planning District Commission lobbyist.
Lobbyist, thank you. That came from Neil, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and Neil can probably drop in a link or something to this, but at a very high level, quick level on it, I think it's unique that the governor and both sides of the House are trying to talk about doing something about the housing affordability crisis. I suspect it'll take a very long time before that happens, and there'll be a couple of real estate cycles before it even happens on that end of it. But the fact that you're doing it, at least talking about it, is good. So I'm going to actually I asked David to keep me, as a commissioner, keep me posted on
what are some of the most paramount, important topics we've covered on the show? Certainly housing affordability.
Well, I think the Monday after the tragedy was huge.
After that, we've had 4 years we've had a couple.
The recent tragedy, the murder of the
UVA football players.
Yeah, the football players.
Yeah, we did a good job that day.
No, you did a good job.
We both did a good job.
No. You did a good job. I just hung on and tried not to get in the way and screw things up, but so much. But
think about that, guys.
That was we were like over 2.5 hours, something like that.
Yeah.
I think it was. That was we rolled in. It was a Monday Real Talk, and we're not talking real estate today.
Right.
Refused to talk real estate.
On the fly, say we're not going to talk real estate. It was
let's see how it goes.
Yeah, and for 2.5 hours, we legitimately talked and relayed. You know what my wife said to us?
I think it actually was more than that. If we started at 10:15 and we ended at 12:30.
Well, that would be 2 hours and 15 minutes. I think we went about to 1 o'clock. I think we went to 1 o'clock. My wife mentioned this, and I heard this from other viewers and listeners, that they were watching Real Talk and not watching CNN.
Yeah, because we were
TV.
We were live commenting
on the fly
on Chief Longo's.
Yeah, crowdsourcing content from news outlets and relaying them to viewers and listeners.
And that's we announced literally live when they caught the guy or they arrested the guy. Yeah, I think the other one that
I mean, COVID was a challenge.
Yeah, I'm trying to think individual shows. I think the first 9/11 show that we did was very personally impactful for me. You know, I had my dad on and had Vinny Kamaj on, you know, who lost his dad. I can't remember which tower it was. He was the window washer on one of the towers. And for him to, because we were, at that point in time, we were doing everything, Skype. Mm-hmm. With earphones on and all this kind of great stuff. When Vinny told Fox News, "You're going to have to wait, I'm doing this first," that was personally huge for me. He's also part of the family, and it's a beautiful, beautiful family.
One of the folks that's part of the family watching right now, Joseph Gentile.
Joe brother
Gentile.
from another one. Man,
love Joe.
Now I got to tell you, yeah, man, I would definitely put the shows that Joe was in here up over there, because we talk about very important stuff. Pizza, food.
Joe Gentile, one of our favorite guests. Anytime he joined us on Real Talk with Keith Smith,
well, he's got an open invitation anytime he's in Charlottesville.
He'd bring fresh bread. He'd bring
stuff,
absolute delicious cookies, Italian cookies.
It reminds me of a story. You know, I was invited. I'll leave names out of it, but I was invited to the installation of a pretty important person. And it was a black tie event, yada, yada, yada. And so the person who invited me says, "Hey, that guy over there is from Brooklyn." I went, "Oh, cool." And I went over to talk to him for about an hour. And I came back, and the guy who invited me says, "Wow, you knew Dave." And I went, "Oh, was that his name?" I never thought of asking his name. But we talked about it, like Joe and I talk about all the time. The important stuff. You know, where can you get a decent hero? Where can you get, you know, this and that and the other thing? And do you remember this in the neighborhood? And it was for a whole hour, and I never even thought about asking the guy's name. I said, "Okay, see you later, buddy." "Okay, see you later." And we went our separate ways.
What do we talk about navigating COVID on Real Talk with Keith Smith?
Yeah, well, you know, so, you know, United States Marine Corps, adapt and overcome, right? We were presented with something, much like the Monday after the tragedy of the murders, right? You know, we said, okay, how are we going to adapt? And we just adapted. But, you know, I remember what did we do? We had shows where I had a tape measure to make sure that we were over 6 feet, 6 feet away and all that stuff. Legitimately, we were. It was
a different table at the time.
It was a different table, right? And, so, you know, we just constantly adapt, and it makes me wonder, what are we going to adapt to next? And how long are we going to do this? What do you think?
You know, I genuinely, truly believe this. I think you guys, the viewers and listeners, over the course of watching Real Talk with Keith Smith and the shows on the I Love Seville Network, are watching how we will be absorbing the news and media moving forward. Content creators like myself, like Keith, like Sean Tubbs, like Neil Williamson.
I think you, Neil, and Sean are content creators. I was thinking this on Monday. You know, and I've said this more than once. In the beginning, I said, you know, I'll do a few shows with Jerry. How hard could this be, right?
Yeah.
And I realized, oh my God, this is very hard. I can't do that seat. I tried it on Monday. I think I actually did a pretty decent job, but nothing to the level that you can do it at. My ADD won't allow me to do it. God love Judah because I was talking to Quentin, and Judah was taking questions and stuff off of your feed and texting them to me because I just couldn't. My brain just can't do it that
Been
way.
doing this for 20 years.
It-
A lot of practice.
I get that, and you say that all the time, but you also have to have the innate skill to start with. If you don't have it, you don't have it.
I just think the future of media is going to be no longer newspapers and radio stations and TV stations, because the overhead of running platforms like newspapers and radio stations and TV stations is so significantly great. And we're certainly heading, I mean, we both believe we're in a recession now. We're certainly next year, it looks like it's, be heading that way.
Well, but you wouldn't know that by the data that's coming in. But look,
I mean, look at the tech business, and you look at the newspaper business and the media business. They're getting ravaged by layoffs, and why they're getting ravaged by layoffs is because the advertising dollars have shrunk. And as we get out of this economic downturn, and as these advertising dollars continue to shrink, you're going to see print, radio, and TV absolutely ravaged, if not destroyed. And the fallout, the collateral damage, or what materializes from that is individual content creators like Neil, like Sean, like me, turning their sweat equity and their efforts into the news for the community. I hear constantly from people that I watch the I Love CVille show as my news for the day and what's happening. And that's a lot of pressure and responsibility, but that's going to even get considerably greater.
Well, and you're 100% right. I think we've kind of, the pressure and responsibility is pretty clear, right? But this evergreen format, and I guess back to the evergreen, that it's always there. I learned that very early on, right? And I'm really good, and it's just the way my brain works. I can check things out and move on, right? Today's show will be over, and I'll move on, right? On that end of it, until somebody picks up the phone or sends me a text or something like that. But the difference between, let's say, the newspaper. Now everything's online anyway, but it's the evergreen format that, you reminded me, whatever you say or do is going to be, this is going to be out there forever.
I mean, look at it this way. The local newspaper that covers Central Virginia, right? The local newspaper that covers Central Virginia now has a paywall on its website.
That I did not know.
And it's been that way for year.
You're talking about Daily Progress.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
It's
I don't check the Daily Progress that often.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's $47 a month.
Are you kidding me?
No. $47 a month to access the content.
I pay for the Wall Street Journal like $6.
That's what I'm saying. It's $47 a month to access the content on the Daily Progress.
I did not know that.
After you get through the introductory offer. $47 a month. I know this because I pay for it. Okay?
I get it, yeah.
Can assure you that a $47 a month subscription is going to significantly impact the number of subscribers to the local newspaper. And as the dollar becomes stretched, which it has been, credit card debt's at an all-time high in America, groceries are expensive, gas is expensive.
Oh, yeah.
People are cutting costs on their budget. A $47 a month subscription.
We're doing it. We had a pre-show conversation about that, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking at my credit card.
Judah is looking at your GoDaddy account right now and figuring out the charges.
Yeah.
$47 a month is going to be a cut, and folks aren't going to go back to it.
So let me get this. How much is an actual newspaper right now? You pick up at the $1.50?
I haven't picked up a tangible newspaper
the point
in
I'm trying
years.
to get at.
How much, ladies and gentlemen, viewers and listeners of this Fine and Fair Talk show?
I bet you Neil knows.
How much is
it's
a daily issue of the Daily Progress?
I bet you it's $1.50.
Can someone put that in the feed?
Which you used to be able to get for $0.25, right?
How much is it?
I think it's $1.50. I bought it once, and I can't remember because it was something you and I did or whatever, and I wanted to grab the newspaper for it. But I can't do the math that quick in my head. But I'm pretty sure if you actually went and bought the newspaper and had it delivered to your house every day, it's cheaper than the $47 a month.
I mean, $47 a month, and
That's
I think
crazy.
that's only the online subscription.
That's insane.
It's only the online subscription. And I want to emphasize this. With the TV stations, the licensing fees and the cost it takes the local networks to pay to carry the show programming, the content, like the shows that you watch on 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, those costs, I used to work at NBC 29, those costs are astronomical.
Sure.
The cost to maintain an antenna or a tower
Sure.
on Carter's Mountain
Sure.
to keep a radio signal
Sure.
going, they pay an engineer just to service the antennas on Carter's Mountain.
Yeah, so it's kind of gone from the horse and buggy to the car, right?
And that's my point.
Well,
Social
we
media
talked. I've been
is free.
long before.
It's ubiquitous.
Long before we started doing the show. Back to real estate. I've always said what we hold in our hands is how real estate is going to operate. And even though after 6 years, I had to get a new laptop, 90% of what I do is what I hold in my hand.
Philip Dallas says it's $800 a year to get the newspaper at your house.
800.
$800 a year. And it doesn't come on time, other folks are saying, or sometimes not at all.
Yeah.
800 divided by 12
So
is $67 a month
Yeah.
to have the print edition delivered to your house.
Yeah. So it is cheaper to get the digital versus the
Yeah, you're
the
saving, what is that, $19?
$20.
Yeah, to have the digital versus the print delivered to your house.
Yeah. So I just,
This is how we will get our news.
well, and back to the whole visionary thing, right? I was receiving texts from folks this morning congratulating me on my 400th show, or our 400th show, I should say, and they were
$1.50 newsstand.
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
want to, Neil
Yeah.
Williamson
Yeah,
said.
that's what I thought,
If you want to go
$1.50.
and get it at a newsstand, and who can find a newsstand?
and they're usually like in front of like Food Lion, or at least the lake is in front of Food
The
Lion.
newsstand is becoming the
I don't- these
2022
people will call me.
version.
Don't they know I'm on my 400th show?
The newsstand is the 2022 version of a payphone.
Oh yeah. When's the last time you saw one of those?
Where's the last time? Remember when the newsstand was everywhere?
Yeah.
Where's the newsstand now that you can think of? It's the 2022 version of a payphone. $1.50 at a newsstand.
Yeah. Where's the kid? Where's the kids going to make their money? Right? Remember you used to do the paper? I don't. Did you ever do a paper?
No, Bill McChesney is putting on the feed. He used to do a paper route in the 60s in Charlottesville. And he said in the 60s when he delivered the newspaper, Bill said, it was 35 cents a week to get the newspaper at your house.
Wow.
35 cents a week.
That's just crazy.
The news business literally is in a massive brand identity crisis right now. And
Well-
the publishers, you know what the publishers are going to be? The people who publish the content are going to be the social media platforms.
Well, this is way above.
And the editors, the writers, are going to be individual people who utilize social media and the fact that these things, smartphones, are in everyone's hand and they're ubiquitous. And they're going to create content.
What was
And
that
some
thing?
people are going to be good content creators, and some people are going to be good
Did you
business
see the
people.
thing about Elon Musk with the thing that they're working?
Yeah, brain chip, Neuralink. Neuralink is what he's doing. And then some people are going to be good business people and good content creators.
Yeah, I just, I'm a one marble guy doing a two marble job, and my one marble's a bit chipped. Back to what I was trying to say earlier, this relationship that we've established over the years is really good. You leading the conversation, I'm kind of filling backing in. But look, what do you think? What do you think the next big thing's going to be for overall? And what do you think about the next big thing for what we're doing together?
I think this is what I truly, truly believe this. The folks the businesses and the entrepreneurs that gain market share in the next 12 to 18 months.
Sure.
And the next 12 to 18 months, folks, is going to be a challenge.
I think it's
going to be
longer than that.
difficult.
I think you're closer to 24
I'm
months.
I'm a positive person, and on these shows, I often play the bull, not the bear, but the bull. The
Ooh,
positive
did you
person.
watch? Do you watch how the stock market's starting? People are talking about the change on that.
It's down pretty big today. I'm the bull on these shows, but I'm coming with a bearish take here. The next 12 to 18 months are going to be difficult. And the brands and businesses and the entrepreneurs that
Agreed.
are going to gain market share and take business from others and survive are the ones that understand the concept of brand and building a brand on digital platforms, specifically social media and their phones.
But I'll contradict you just a little. Not necessarily contradict you. Let's say add a different perspective to it. And I'm starting to see this a lot, at least in my industry, right, in the real estate space. There seems to be, and again, this is very specific to real estate agents, and I can't speak to loan officers, so Coach B can chime in on that, or whoever, Scott Morris, if he's watching or listening. But I'm starting to see the phone calls are picking up, and I'll leave names out of it, even from different offices than ours, seeking guidance on how to solve a problem. Does that make sense? So what I think what you're going to see, those who can provide the level of professionalism, right, if that has the years in, are going to probably do better, and some of the other ones will seek out. Because anytime, if I get a phone call from a real estate agent, I don't care what firm they're with, unless it's something that's crossing some brokerage or anything like that, which I won't touch. But if it's like, hey, I got a problem with a basement, look, whatever I can do to help, I'll help, right? Because, in my opinion, if we can help raise the level of ability and professionalism across the industry, it's good for everybody. I've always believed that. It's part of why I'm sitting here, right, and doing this, and it's part of why I bring agents in from other brokerages and so forth and so on. It's if we can help everybody, or there's a tide rises all boats, then we're helping everybody, and that's good. That's good for me. That's good for Jerry. It's good for Judah. It's good for everybody. But I'm seeing the at least at my industry, look, I'm in a situation, I can't find it on Google. What do you think? I say, look, what we do every day or 3 days a week on the show with our case studies, it's that kind of stuff.
I mean, okay, here's a question for you, a legitimate question. How is your industry locally, Central Virginia,
Sure.
car, going to solve this conundrum? Are you ready for the conundrum?
Do I need a red pen or a red pen? Is a red pen
Maybe
question?
a big red pen.
Big red pen. Big red. Me got big red pen.
Here's the conundrum.
It's a little red pen, but that's
How
okay.
is it going to solve this conundrum? What do you need?
Oh, look at that. It's 11:19.
How are you going to solve the conundrum of significantly shrinking inventory when the industry is predicated on selling inventory?
Oh, yeah. But is that car's responsibility to solve?
I'm
Why-
talking the individual agents.
Okay, that's a different question.
Significantly shrinking inventory when an individual agent's profession is based on selling inventory.
Sure. So that's back to what I was trying to say before that question. It's the level of professionalism. We are having at our little, realty partners, Yona and I are going to...
You guys have had a banner year.
We had a very good year.
A banner year.
We exceeded our budgetary projections for this year. And actually, the second half of the year was better than the first half of the year, which is contradictory
Dude,
to that.
that's...
But let me try to answer.
They hear that.
Let me try to answer the question. That's the reason why this level of professionalism, and maybe there's a different word than professionalism that one can use. Experience is going to matter. What you're really asking me is how can we have 1,300 agents and hold on a second, the last 7 days there was 53 homes went into contract.
How many came on the market?
39. Last 7 days.
How many went on the market this time last year?
Oh, you're going to have to talk and let me find out because I figured out how to do this.
39 in the last 7 days in the car footprint came on the market.
And
for
this, once
sale.
I find it, it'll bolster what you're trying to make. But
Of
hold on a
course.
second. Let me go find December 2021.
He's looking right now.
Look at that. I didn't know this. I learned it.
Digitally savvy and sophisticated Keith Smith.
Huh?
39 homes
got
on
a-
the market
30.
in the last 7 days in 2022. 39, folks. He's now going to compare it and contrast it
Which I'm sure if Judah came over here, he could probably show me a quicker way to do this.
to this time last year of how many homes came on the market.
What's today? No, that's too late.
You're looking at the most competitive space of business, real estate and realtors, in this market, except for maybe restaurants. That's the only other space I can see as being more competitive than real estate and realtors.
Hold on a second, folks. I'm getting there.
We know we have a significant amount of restaurants in this community. A lot of folks say the top 10 in the nation from a per capita standpoint.
Would you call December 5th? December 5th is close enough.
That's close enough.
We're December 2nd. So 57 versus 39.
Okay, so that is a drop of 57 versus 39. That is a drop of 18.
So that's 7 days.
50%.
That's 7 days going backwards from, in this case, December 5th backwards. And what I'm looking at live is 12/2, 7 days backwards. 79 a pending. That was a year ago, roughly the same week. We're looking at 53. Oh, wow. Sold 105 a year ago, 65 now.
That's what I'm saying.
Price change 39. Price change 48. So price changes are pretty close year over year. But, this is just a screenshot of it. I'd have to look into, was that down or up or whatever on that kind of stuff. But the bottom line is, did you say 50% off? Yeah. So that's kind of what I was saying in the run into this conversation.
The folks who survive will understand the concept of brand.
I get the branding end of it. Like, you're a brander, I get it. It's also the conversations we're having one-on-one with our agents, because we're taking a week off and we're gonna work on our business plans. And Yona and I do this. We just get away, because if we stay here, we just end up working, right? And we're going to be writing our business plans for the next 12, 24, 36, and 60 months, 48, 60 months, next 5 years out. If anybody who's in business, you need to do that, particularly our business, because you've just got to follow the track, and we religiously every quarter look at it and how we're doing, and are we on track, are we off a track, and all that kind of great stuff. But the conversations that we're having with one-on-one with agents is, well, how do I get sales? How do I get people? This is great. So this is, we teach this A, B, C, and D, right? Your sphere of influence, right? Jerry's my A plus, right? Right? Jerry will refer me. If somebody says, hey, I need to buy something, more than likely he'll refer me, or my mother will refer me. Well, maybe not.
Mom will refer you. God, she watches this show.
My mother, God love her. My mother constantly.
I love you, Mrs. Smith. I love you, Mrs. Smith. I love you,
kiss
Pop
ass.
Smith.
You kiss.
I love you, Mrs. Smith. I love you very much.
Literally at
Trying to keep your son in line here, Mrs. Smith.
Literally at
She
Thanksgiving.
watches this show,
Oh, she
Keith.
does. Yeah, I know. Literally at Thanksgiving, thinks Jerry's such a nice guy. I said, okay.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith.
So my mother constantly asks me, so what do you do? I see you on this. What do you do? But all kidding aside, the level of, I lost it. I came back. A, B, C, and D, right? So this is what we're doing right here is like the C and the D, right? We're reaching a large group of folks. But I tell folks right now, if you're in the real estate space and you need a sale, get out your contact list and look at everybody that's in your A, and you better be picking up the phone and talking to them. This is great, but people want to hear from you. And you call them up, say, how you doing? What's going on? What can I do for you? You don't open up the phone and say, hey, you got a house to sell or a house to buy? You say, hey,
Here's what I've noticed. Have you started
It's a contact sport.
Have you started noticing how often that, like, who was it? The team leader in KWA now doing it.
Nikki?
Joseph Martin.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Now what's he doing?
Yeah, I know Joseph real well.
What's he doing now?
Yeah. Yep, you're 100% right. We talked about that before you started doing it.
Joseph Martin's trying to get in front of a camera now and
I'm actually
connect to massive people doing live streaming, essentially what this is.
But
what he's doing is just putting his phone on a table and talking into it.
So I actually invited him in January, February, and he's going to come down. He's actually a really dynamic guy. Great conversation. But yeah, 100% right. Yeah. So, it's funny. Part of this week go away on top of business plans. I'm also figuring out what we're going to do with Real Talk, right? Because we're changing. Oh God, yeah. Sorry. But I'm going to write it down, so I'll give it to you. No. So we're like I said earlier with Michael Plecker. We're going to kind of pivot a little bit next year. We're going to start bringing a little bit more to the politicians because
he's going to be doing a little traveling.
I'm going to do a little traveling.
I'm going to have to do a little bit of the heavy lifting.
Oh God.
We're going to be bringing in folks to sit in for Keith.
That's
you know
right,
how
yeah.
much I.
Yeah, I know. I do. It's funny. Quentin and I did it for that one day, and I really missed the heck out of you. But this is important. There's things coming up, family stuff that we need to do. We got births happening of grandbabies and grandbabies' birthdays and all that stuff. But we have some dynamic people that are going to sit in my seat. Neil is one
Love
of
Neil
them.
Williamson. Love Neil Williamson.
Scott Morris is going to sit in my seat. Nikki's going to sit in my seat. In my seat. So it'll do well, and I'll come back, and it'll be okay, Jerry. So it's just great show. You said you had a case, or do we have time to do that?
Yeah, we have some time. Vanessa Parkhill said, "Would you advise Queen of Earlysville? Would you advise us buying a rental property that's out of state?"
So I'll probably answer the question by asking a question. Do you currently own rental properties? The only...
And then thoughts on vetting a property management company.
Well, there's no vet. So if it's local, it's Ally Property Management, period.
She means out of state.
Out of state. Yeah. Actually, you know what I would do? If it was me and I was going to do this and I was going to buy something out of state, just talk about the property management thing, relationships and having a person, I was going to say guy, right? To having a guy or a person matters. I'd pick up the phone and call Suzanne and say, Suzanne, this is where I want to go, because she's got the network of people, and say, hey, because we do this. If Jerry says, hey, I want to sell a house or buy a house or help somebody sell a house in some other state or out of the country, actually, we're going to pick up the phone and reach out to the networks over there and phone interview them and say, okay, use Judah. Right? So that's what I would do. I would go ahead and get a hold of Suzanne, and you can go into the partners tab of Real Talk with Keith Smith. Look at that, huh?
RealTalkWithKeithSmith.com and the word partners. Well done, Keith.
Well, yeah, look at that.
Very nice.
I'm learning. And reach out to Suzanne and say, look, this is where I'm going. This is what I'm going to do. As far as my advice of owning a rental property outside the state, I come from a bit of a jaded perspective. I used to own a lot pre-implosion, pre-time of the great unpleasantness. And it is, if you've got great tenants and you've got great property managers, it's like the one we have right now with Suzanne, right? I don't even know I have it, right? And if you can develop that and it's cash flow positive, great. But God, if you can't and you've got a problem and it's away, it could be a nightmare.
Yeah.
So I would, if it was me, I'd work it backwards. I would say, okay, Suzanne, who do you have over there? Figure out if you can work with that person, right? Phone interview them, go see them. I'm assuming if you're buying something out of state, you're probably going to be there at some point, and see if the relationship works, because that's the person that's going to solve all the problems for you. And then the rest of it is a matter of math, right? So am I buying it at the right price? Am I going to get the right amount of rental Yona and I are looking at another one that's seller financed, and I won't say where. Actually reached out to Suzanne and said, hey, run me some numbers on this. So the math works. I know I've got Suzanne to manage it. I've gotten now to figure out if the seller financing picture is going to work. And if it does, then we'll move forward with it. If not, then we won't. But that's what I would do. I'd work it backwards. This is what I love. This is fun.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't.
Out of state adds another wrinkle.
Yeah. Unless you can get eyes on it quickly, and if you got a issue, you can get there quickly. Find your trusted advisor. Reach out to Suzanne at Ally and say, I need another Suzanne in wherever you're going. And if you find that and everything else works, do it. If you do not have that third party and you want to manage it yourself, without specifics, I would advise against it.
Yeah.
I would advise against it.
That sounds like a lot of headache, a lot of sleepless nights.
The proverbial what can hit the
Always,
fan.
especially in residential.
And, Murphy's Law always kicks in.
100%.
Always kicks in. And then now you got to deal with it.
I mean, the ones...
Now, the other part of the equation is, okay, let's assume you have the right person. Let's assume the math works. You also need to reach out to a Keith or a Yona over there and see if you can figure out what the projection of the market's going to be, right? You don't want to, if it's not all areas are like Charlottesville, right? Where we're even if
pretty insulated.
Yeah, we won't move double digits up year over year, but we'll surely move single digits. Some specific properties might go backwards because of where they are and the local features and condition. But, some areas, one block or 2 blocks one way or the other can make a huge difference.
You saw that in Richmond.
Oh, big time. Literally 2 blocks went from this to that. And, you want to try to get as close up to that as close as possible, but not into it. And you just want to make sure that doesn't come into this.
That's great advice right there.
I have no idea what I just said. I think that's a general life comment.
No, I got what you said.
Right.
I speak Smith.
Right. No, that's Keith.
It's Keith, though. That's the problem. I've had a lot of 400 episodes of speaking Keith here.
Yeah. So, did I ever tell you the story about my buddy Ray said to me?
Yes, you've told me this story
you?
so many times.
Damn.
Go ahead and tell it again.
No, I don't want to tell you
I
now.
can tell. No, please.
No, I don't want to tell you.
The viewers and listeners may not have. So
my buddy Ray, who I was in the Marine Corps with, that I've known since boot camp, so that's 40-something years. I had to pick him up because his car was in the shop or whatever, and I was taking him back, and I was doing me, blah, 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 blah. And I don't know how language came up, but he turns around and looks at me. You realize I speak 2 languages, right? And I went, 40 years? I didn't know that, Ray. And he goes, yeah, English and Keith. I totally understood what you said.
Oh, I know that story. So I could have told
Yeah. So that's the problem with the 400. That's the reason. This is Jerry. This is the reason I have to go away. It's good for our relationship, so I can get more stories. 11:34.
Neil Williamson said
He's trying to wiggle his way into
400 episodes and 35 Ray stories. Neil Williamson.
I'm lucky enough to have.
I'm dying.
I'm lucky enough to have a buddy for 40 years.
400 episodes and 35 Ray stories.
Okay, buddy. I was trying to end the show on a high note, but there you go.
Oh man, this question's come on the feed. Would you touch Would you touch Petersburg as a rental possibility to buy a rental property in Petersburg?
You okay?
Yeah.
I'm okay. All right.
Would you touch? Petersburg is. I would be very concerned about buying a rental property in Petersburg.
So back to this.
Wouldn't you?
Back to Keith speak. This is the this and this that thing, right?
Yeah.
The difference between this and that is very narrow, and you just need to do your homework. You need to get boots. If this is in Petersburg, look, we're moving into the Richmond market, not because of any business decision. It's because of our youngest daughter and husband are moving there, and we're thinking about growing our footprint into that. So I'm spending a lot of time, physical time, in that. And we took the kids out on the Sunday after Thanksgiving and went through neighborhoods, and I made them walk the neighborhoods. We parked the cars. Let's walk the neighborhood.
I don't mean to interrupt you here, but friend of the program and all-around A-plus guy, Supervisor Ned Galloway,
Oh, Jesus.
says, congrats on 400.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you. Great. You ran a great meeting last night.
Huge fans of Ned Galloway here on this
huge,
side.
huge. Yeah. So my suggestion on Petersburg is go figure out where you're at, walk, or if you drive, whatever it is, walk the neighborhood, and if it feels right, it is right. If it doesn't feel right, then it's not right. And that's the best piece of advice I can give you. You know, it's like, if you're walking down the street in the city and, it doesn't feel right, you turn around and walk the other way. So, that's what we'll do. Remember, this and that. Great description.
This and that.
This and
this
that.
And that.
Totally
maybe yes,
different.
maybe no yes.
Maybe no yes. Yeah, it's funny. Oh, God, who was telling me this the other day?
Yes.
So do you remember the beginning of us before we decided to call it Real Talk? I really wanted to call it Coffee Talk.
Oh, I do vaguely remember that.
Very first sit down.
But we decided against it because
SNL.
Yeah, that's right. Because wasn't it already used?
Yeah, no. Well, it was SNL. We wanted something different. But it's funny. Do you notice how many, and I send these links to you every once in a while, everybody's using Real Talk
Oh,
now?
yeah.
NAR has a Real Talk
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
All these
I
different.
have noticed that.
Yeah. But anyway, so thank you.
Not that irritates us at all, right?
Not that, look,
Imitation?
is the greatest form of flattery.
Yeah,
Without a
finest
doubt,
form
right?
of flattery.
And what was it? Somebody said, if you're pissing enough people off, you must be doing something
That's-
right.
That's very true.
On that stuff. But Ned's a great guy. Ned's going to be coming back in. I
love you, Ned.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. Actually, to speak about Ned, he and I are doing what I call a road show to all the Board of Supervisors to talk about the Regional Housing Partnership and stuff we have to do. And it's interesting because staff for the Thomas Jefferson Planning District Commission actually want to give us like slides, like talking points. I went, oh, how cute is that?
I think they were trying to keep you in check.
I said, oh, is that the cutest thing? If you don't think Ned and I can stand behind a podium and do this, and I'm not being disparaging against it. They're trying to support us. It's like, oh, that's so cute. Thank you so much for the talking points.
400 episode has truly been an honor, Keith.
Yeah, I rolled into this thing not knowing what to talk about, and there's usually the best shows.
Oh, always.
Usually the
and
best
it's now
shows.
11:40.
11:39.
11:39.
My new fancy computer is telling me 11:39. And my phone is 11:39. My Apple Watch is 11:39.
Yours says 11:39?
Yeah, look.
Mine says 11:40.
You can see that big number over
I
there.
can see that big number. You don't like the update, do you?
I do not.
Yeah.
Do you?
No. Well, I haven't done the update. I never do the updates.
Well, that's the reason my number's big.
Well, I
did the
know.
up-
That's
did the
why I knew you
update.
did the update.
And I can't. My texts aren't working right.
Well, have you synced it to your iWatch yet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. So I've got it set up. It does it like automatically. Am I not supposed to do that?
No, you do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want.
So what are you doing for the rest of the day? What are you doing this
I
weekend?
got a talk show at 12:30. I got 2 client meetings this afternoon. I got a payday for J-Dubs today.
Got it.
Got him, get him a paycheck. And we got, we're busy. Like you, we're busy.
So I want to thank Nikki Chambliss, Scott Morris, and Neil Williamson for covering me next week while we're out doing some business planning and celebrating a 4th year birthday with our grandson. So thank you guys for doing that. Thank you. I know. All kidding aside, I know that puts a lot of extra pressure on you. So thank you for doing that on that. But I'm still going.
No doubt. 400th episode.
Yeah, man.
Sitting across with my friend Keith Smith, guys. Find all the shows archived online at realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. Click the partner tab, and when you do, you'll see the brands and businesses that you can count on to get you to the closing table and beyond, and this ride we call real estate.
I got to tell you, I've said it before. I'll keep on saying it. Maybe it's just me, but I'm actually excited about real estate going forward because we're all going to do well. It's just got to raise our level of. We're going to just pivot to a different thing. But my wrap-up comment is I'm beyond honored, flattered, humbled that I've got to do this for 400 shows.
Another 400 come, Keith.
So that puts us.
2026.
You did the math already on that?
Yeah. 2026.
Wow.
We're going to do it. Another 400 episodes.
So I wonder what we don't know that's going to hit us already. I'm excited about that, actually.
Yeah, the unknown
that kind of
invigorates people like you and I.
I love the pivot.
Yeah.
Even though, didn't we say at one time that we're not supposed to?
That was the cliche word of COVID, was
God's
pivot.
Yeah. And we're going to do that in January.
And you also said we couldn't use the word inventory.
And that went over real well, didn't it? Oops. Nobody listens to me.
No.
Nobody listens to me.
How could we not?
Nobody
use
listens to
that
me.
word?
Supposedly, I'm the executive producer.
You are.
Nobody
you are
listens to me.
The show is called Real Talk with Keith
Look,
Smith.
the only living thing in this studio that listens to me is Liza the dog.
Because you give.
I brought in stuff. So you got a show to do. Thank you, everybody. This has been an absolute honor.
It has been.
I'm speechless. So this is we better wrap this up before I start tearing up.
Keith Smith, Judah Wickower. My name is Jerry Miller. The show is Real Talk with Keith Smith. It's been, and I rarely try to speak for Judah, but I'm going to here. It's been Judah and my honor to do this alongside this absolute stand-up guy, friend and family, Keith Smith.
So thank you for reminding me that we could not do this without him.
Judah Wickower.
That man has the patience of Job.
And he needs to with us in the room.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, guys. I Love Steve-O show in 45 minutes. Have a good morning. We'll see you very soon. Take care.
Thank you, everybody.
Very nice. That was flawless.
I don't know about flawless,
Flawless.
but flawless.
Effortless.